Picture this. It's the middle of the night and a creator is suddenly jolted awake with a burning idea, a tool that could genuinely actually help people. Now, instead of just scribbling it down on a notepad and going back to sleep, they decide to take massive imperfect action. Working out of a completely messy home office, they managed to build a software minimum viable product, or MVP, in just 3 days. 3 days. Keep in mind they have absolutely zero prior software development experience, but they just pushed through anyway to get this prototype into the hands of a small test group. We're talking their community, a few friends, and, well, even their mom. What happens over those next 72 hours? It ends up revealing an absolute masterclass in successful digital product marketing. So let's dive right into this explainer and unpack exactly what went down. So that brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Why on earth do so many creators pour their absolute hearts and souls into digital products only to launch and hear literal crickets? Well, we're going to use this creator's frantic 3-day MVP experiment as a real-time case study to figure that out. You see, the software this creator built was specifically designed to diagnose this exact point of failure. And through the rapid testing of this new tool, a pretty glaring truth about the creator economy was exposed. It literally has everything to do with how we fundamentally approach our audience. Okay, to really understand the solution here, we first need to look at how this creator software actually functions. It all kicks off with a super simple intake form that asks for 4 core variables. First up, your niche. For example, let's say health. Second, your specific audience, like busy working moms. Third, the transformation you provide. Maybe it's helping them lose weight in just 20 minutes a day. And finally, your unfair advantage. Like maybe you have 3 kids yourself and somehow you're in the best shape of your life. Based on those exact inputs, the software either generates a brand new digital product offer or it validates an existing one and then maps out a complete content strategy to market it. Sounds simple enough, right? But as you'll see, getting these specific inputs dialed in is where almost everyone goes completely off the rails. And boom, right here is the central conflict of digital marketing today. The harsh reality is that the vast majority of creators fail because they are severely misaligned. They take the amateur approach. They start by just making content. They try to build a massive audience around whatever they feel like posting that day, and only way later do they try to figure out what random product they can force onto those followers. But the pro approach, it flips this entirely. You absolutely must start with the problem you solve. You create or validate the offer first, and then you build your entire content strategy around that specific solution. Severe misalignment between the product and the audience is exactly why your stuff isn't selling. You simply aren't making the right stuff for the right people. So how do we actually build that solid foundation? Well, this is the simple aligned flow that the MVP software uses to fix creator misalignment once and for all. Step 1 is that intake form we talked about, locking in those 4 core variables. Step 2 uses those variables to generate or validate an offer. This could be a free lead magnet, a low-ticket PDF like a 20-minute metabolism reset, or maybe a high-ticket community coaching group. Finally, step 3 produces a personalized content plan. Think like a micro niche YouTube strategy where 100% of the audience attracted by your content is already fully qualified for your offer. You start with the offer and you build the content around it. It's a perfectly linear, highly effective path. The immediate real-world impact of forcing this aligned structure was undeniable. Our creator shared the software with a buddy out in LA who does video production. Now, this friend had been stuck in brutal analysis paralysis for years, just desperately trying to figure out how to transition online and launch a digital offer. Within literal minutes of using this simple 3-step flow, the friend called the creator up on the phone, absolutely mind blown, saying, "Bro, I want to thank you. I was just talking to my wife. I want to thank you for your genius. Seriously, 3 minutes of proper alignment completely cured years of total inaction." That is the sheer power of starting with the problem instead of the content. But get this, it wasn't just experienced industry pros finding value here. The creator also tested this with a total beginner, his own mother. She was someone who firmly believed she had absolutely nothing of value to offer the marketplace. But simply by walking through those intake variables and letting the software align her lived experiences with a potential product, the gears really started turning. Suddenly, she saw this clear path where she could realistically generate $3,000 to $8,000 per month in side income. Just by clarifying her transformation and her unfair advantage, she discovered immense market value and knowledge that she had completely taken for granted. Well, as with any MVP, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. The narrative took a really crucial pivot thanks to a community member named Doug. Now, Doug is a tech guy. He proudly calls himself a busy geek, and he has a highly analytical mind. When Doug tested the software, he provided some incredibly constructive friction. He pointed out that while the final output was really good, the initial intake form was just way too open-ended. He felt his answers couldn't go deep enough to capture his true vision or give the software a solid enough direction. And this analytical critique, it completely stopped the creator in his tracks, mostly because it mirrored a nagging feeling he was already having himself. So what happened next is kind of the crux of this whole thing. Doug's feedback triggered a massive psychological realization for our creator. He realized he was gathering all this great data from his community, but he had totally forgotten to ask the most important user of all, himself. He stated, "I only make everything for my past self. My avatar for everything that I do is my past self." He realized that to find true unshakable alignment in any business, the tools and digital products you build absolutely must be designed specifically to solve the exact problems that your past self faced. Listen, I want to speak directly to you for a second because this equation right here, this is the ultimate cheat code to successful digital product marketing. Your audience equals you plus time and experience. That's literally it. The people in your community, the people buying your digital products, they are just different versions of your past self. They are on the exact same journey you're on right now. The only real advantage you have over them is simply the time you've put in and the experience you've gained along the way. When you sit down to design a product, you really just need to ask yourself, what did my past self desperately need back then to get to where I am right now? And this whole realization naturally brings us to an absolute classic quote from Henry Ford, which really serves as our anchor for how creators should handle user feedback. Ford famously said, "If I asked people what they wanted, they would have told me a faster horse." Now, staying in a constant feedback loop with your market, reading your comments, looking at the data, that is incredibly valuable. You absolutely should listen to your audience, but as this quote perfectly highlights, you have to be very, very careful about taking their literal requests at face value. I like to call this the paradox of need. Consumers will look you dead in the eye and tell you they want a faster horse. They genuinely think they know what they want, but it's literally impossible to build a faster horse. What they actually need, the core burning desire beneath their request, is simply a way to get to their destination faster. An automobile solves the actual need, even if it wasn't what they explicitly asked for. In your digital business, your audience rarely knows what vehicle they actually need. They only know the destination they are desperately trying to reach, which leads us directly into a foundational marketing framework, the transformation gap. The transformation gap is simply the space between your consumer's current situation and their desired situation. That's it. Your digital product is not just a PDF or a video course or a neat piece of software. Your product is simply the vehicle that bridges that gap for them. It's the automobile, not the faster horse. When you create content, your one and only goal is to lead people to the specific vehicle you've built to close their personal transformation gap. So let's map this crazy sprint out chronologically to see how our creator evolved. Day 1 was the initial spark of the idea and the messy creation of the MVP. Day 2 brought that initial testing and the high praise from friends and family as it cured their analysis paralysis. Day 3 brought Doug's analytical reality check and that deep realization about building for the past self and recognizing the transformation gap. And that perfectly sets the stage for day 4, where our creator finally hits a state of sleek professional clarity about exactly what needs to be done next. Day 4 was entirely dedicated to rebuilding the foundation, which ultimately meant improving the input. The creator realized that he actually didn't need to tweak the offers or the content plans just yet. People already found the content plans to be exceptional. Instead, the focus shifted entirely to the intake form itself. Because if you ask deeper intake questions on the front end, you naturally get more accurate user data. That better data inherently generates better crafted offers, which effortlessly produces even more exceptional content plans. The foundational input always dictates the quality of the output. If you improve the starting point by deeply understanding the exact problem of your past self, everything downstream improves automatically. So as we wrap up this explainer, we arrive at the ultimate takeaway from this incredible 3-day sprint. We've seen exactly how misalignment destroys digital businesses and how starting with the problem, deeply understanding your past self and focusing on the foundation can quite literally change everything. So I want to leave you with a question to ponder for your own journey. What vehicle are you creating to close the transformation gap for your audience? Are you out there just trying to breed a faster horse? Or are you finally building the exact machine your past self desperately needed to reach their destination? Click on the link below to get started building your digital product asset today.